Welcome back to my channel, where we talk about everything related to anxiety and our mental well-being. In today's video, we're talking about 11 different types of anxiety, and I want you to be able to see if you can recognise some of them in yourself. So, anxiety can present itself in many different ways, and it affects 1 in 4 people. So anxiety affects everyone differently, and you may recognise that you have some of the symptoms of more than one type, or you may even find that you have a combination of anxiety and depression. Now I'm going to list the 11 most common forms of anxiety, and they are generalised anxiety disorder, that's sometimes known as GAD, G-A-D. There's social anxiety disorder, that can be known as SAD, S-A-D. Panic disorder, separation anxiety disorder, health anxiety disorder, sleep anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is known as OCD, post-traumatic stress disorder, you may know it more commonly as PTSD, and phobias. We also have agoraphobia, which is one I'm going to dive into, as well as selective mutism, which is a less commonly known one. So if you recognise one or more of these, then keep watching and we're going to dive further into each one. So let's look at generalised anxiety disorder first. Anxiety becomes a disorder if you are feeling intensely worried or fearful the majority of the time about a variety of situations, and if you've been feeling this way in excess of 6 months. Now, this is the most common form of anxiety, and it may be triggered by everyday events and or appear to be for no specific reason at all. It can have an impact on your relationships, your ability to work or hold down employment, your energy levels, your concentration levels, and your sleep. So it can be really disruptive. GAD includes persistent and excessive anxiety and worry about a situation, perceived or real, that we expect will happen in the future. The expectation of the event may or may not be based on a similar situation that has occurred in our past, or it may be an expectation that we have created in our own minds that's not necessarily realistic. Now, the fear and worry is often out of proportion to the anticipated event or circumstances. However, it feels very, very real to the person struggling with generalised anxiety disorder. GAD can often occur alongside other anxiety disorders or depression. Then we have social anxiety disorder. Now, social anxiety disorder is an overwhelming feeling of intense fear and self-consciousness about being around other people. So we may be worried that we will do something humiliating or act in a certain way that is embarrassing when in front of others. And then we're going to draw attention to ourselves, and obviously we don't want that attention. When we have social anxiety disorder, we often avoid situations that involve other people, especially if we don't know them well. At the height of my own anxiety, I used to really struggle to walk into a meeting room in my own office, even though I knew everyone there and I was able to talk to them all in the office floor, but I had a completely irrational outlook when I was walking into a meeting. So it doesn't always need to be making sense to you. It could be any bizarre situation. We often feel self-conscious and anxious about what others will think of us. We have a persistent fear of being watched or judged, and as a result, we find it difficult to walk into a crowded place, hold a conversation, or even engage in small talk, and we tend to want to avoid social situations at all costs. We may be able to recognise that our fears aren't always logical, as I could, but it's difficult for us to control them. Now, Agoraphobia is a form of social anxiety. It's not so well known, but it's very common in people with social anxiety. And this is where we have a specific fear of eating in front of others, eating in public. Again, because we fear we're being watched and we would make a fool of ourselves. So if you're finding this helpful, then please like, subscribe and share this video with someone you think might be interested, and hit the notification button to stay up to date with all of our latest content. So let's look at panic disorder next. Someone with a panic disorder will regularly suffer with unprovoked and intense feelings of panic combined with the physical sensations that include things like increased heart rate, shortness of breath, dizziness, tingling in your arms, legs, and often chest pains. Panic attacks can often feel as if we are having a heart attack. They can be really frightening. We also struggle to breathe, and this exasperates our anxiety and panic. Panic attacks are extremely unpleasant, I know, and as a result, we can become fearful of having another attack, which in turn increases our anxiety. Therefore, we may choose to avoid situations where panic attacks have previously occurred. Feelings of fear or terror can intensify within seconds and reach a peak within minutes. So they are very frightening. So we need to do everything we can to control our anxiety. Separation anxiety. Now, this is a form of anxiety that mostly impacts babies and young children, but it can also show up in teens and adults. Separation anxiety can cause clinginess, nervousness, or fear when a parent or loved one leaves them and are out of sight. Toddlers and young children worry that they will be lost from their parent or caregiver, or that something terrible will happen to their parents if they're not around and they're not together. Nearly all children between the ages of 6 months and 3 years old do go through a phase of separation anxiety at some point, and they become clingy to a degree. But the symptoms of separation anxiety are more severe. Now, health anxiety disorder is when we have intense feelings of worry, fear, and panic that are directly linked to a physical health condition, or we are excessively worried about becoming seriously ill in the future, even when we have no physical symptoms. Someone struggling with health anxiety will frequently check their body for signs of illness and often visit their GP regularly, and even go back to the GP again and again to confirm that the GP didn't miss something the first time round. Health anxiety or hypochondria is related to obsessive compulsive disorder. Now, before we dive into the remaining types of anxiety, you may be wondering, who am I and how am I qualified to give you this advice? Well, my name's Jennifer Roblin. I'm an anxiety specialist and therapist, and I have helped countless individuals regain control of their lives and overcome anxiety. I do this using my own learned experiences of overcoming anxiety myself, alongside the experiences of my clients, my training and my research. So let's jump back in. The next one we're going to look at is sleep anxiety disorder. Now, sleep anxiety is the fear or worry about going to sleep. It can happen for many different reasons, and the thought of lying awake worrying at night may leave us feeling anxious about getting into bed. Now, sleep anxiety can affect adults, teenagers and children. We may be anxious about falling asleep in the first instant and or not being able to go back to sleep should we wake up during the night. Now, unfortunately, sleep disturbances are a very common symptom of general anxiety too. So alternatively, we may be scared of having nightmares or night terrors, and we may believe something terrible will happen in the night, such as a burglary or a house fire. Some people fear that they just won't wake up in the morning. OCD, or Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, is another form. Now, someone struggling with OCD will have excessive and recurrent anxious, unwanted thoughts, and they will often try and relieve these obsessive thoughts by compulsively performing repeated rituals. Now, someone with OCD may be able to recognise that the rituals are not logical, but they will continue to use them as a coping strategy to manage their intrusive, anxious thoughts. Now, performing these rituals will usually only provide temporary relief, hence the perceived need for the compulsion to be repeated over and over again, as they have a belief that their anxiety would escalate should they be unable to perform these rituals. So examples may include repeatedly washing hands if they're concerned about coming into contact with germs, or it could be repeatedly checking the door is locked if they're anxious about their safety and their security. It could be any number of things, making sure the oven's turned off repeatedly. PTSD, let's look at that one next. Now that's post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD may occur after a particularly traumatic and terrifying event where some physical harm occurred, was witnessed or threatened. Now, PTSD was originally recognised in war veterans, but it's now widely acknowledged that any event that is traumatic to the individual may trigger PTSD. So this could include things like a violent personal assault, a natural or human-caused disaster, or witnessing or being involved in accidents. Now, someone with PTSD usually finds it very, very difficult to relax and will experience upsetting night terrors or flashbacks of the event, so it is important to seek help. Phobias. If you have an intense fear of a specific object, place, situation, feeling or animal, then it may be a phobia. Now, people with phobias often have a heightened feeling of danger towards the situation or the object, and this fear can even be triggered by a thought or image of that situation or object. Now, someone with a phobia may recognise that their fear is excessive to the situation or the object, but they are unable to control it. And from my own personal experience, I had an extreme phobia of mice. I couldn't even say the word. I would be petrified by any sudden movement, such as a leaf or a small bird. I was so fearful that it was a mouse. I even ran out in front of a car on one occasion and tried to get out of a moving train when I saw an image of a mouse in a magazine. Now, it wasn't a conscious decision to run away. It's the fight and flight response to fear and anxiety that made me immediately react. I absolutely, completely knew I was being irrational, but I was too scared to face up to my fears. I knew this had to change when I realised my daughter was then becoming petrified of mice, and it was a learnt behaviour that she had mirrored from me. Only then did I seek the help I needed, and now I'm fine with them. You may wish to download the exposure ladder worksheet that I've got in the description, as that can be used to help overcome your phobias, and there's full instructions on it. We would often go to great lengths to avoid the things that's causing us anxiety. Now, agoraphobia. This is a specific and common phobia when we fear and avoid places or situations that might cause panic or feelings of being trapped when we're unable to escape or get help if something were to go wrong. So this may result in someone avoiding travelling on public transport or being in a car. It could be fear of visiting a supermarket or shopping centre, or in extreme cases, it's avoiding leaving the home altogether. And I want to touch on selective mutism as well. Now, this anxiety disorder tends to impact children more than adults, and we have seen a dramatic increase in it since the isolation of the pandemic. Selective mutism is when a child chooses not to speak in a specific situation, such as at school or when they're around an authority figure, when they are able to speak in an alternative environment, such as home. Now, while it usually starts in childhood, if left untreated, it can continue into adulthood. I just want to be clear here, selective mutism should not be confused with someone choosing not to speak in certain situations. When someone is struggling with selective mutism, they are literally unable to speak, and they go into the freeze response, again, which is part of the fight, flight, freeze, when they are in a situation that they perceive as being dangerous. So I'm going to jump in and look at some coping strategies, but before I do, please do remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel, as this allows me to help more people struggling with anxiety. Also, check out in the description, as I have so much free content available to you that you can download. So let's look at the coping strategies. Now that we understand more about the differences and the similarities between stress and anxiety and how we can explore effective ways to overcome and manage them, we can identify what the trigger is that causes us the stress and anxiety, as this helps us to address them in a more effective way. We can practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, journaling, yoga, anything that can help calm our mind and body. And I have lots of tips on journaling and breathing exercises in the description. Ensure you're getting enough sleep, as this is so important for your body and your mind to repair and rejuvenate. Have a consistent bedtime routine and ensure your bedroom is dark, quiet and a comfortable temperature. Avoid phones before bed. Now, exercise, as this will release the feel-good hormones, endorphins, which can reverse the immediate effects of stress and anxiety. Speak to a trusted friend or a family member, as connecting with others is known to elevate our mood. Try and keep to a daily routine, as this helps us use our time more efficiently and enables us to feel more in control of the situation that is challenging us. Organise your tasks and set small, realistic goals that are achievable, because you'll feel better once you've ticked them off your list. Effective time management can also reduce the pressure of overwhelm and tight deadlines. Understand what is within and outside of your control. So download the free worksheet for the circle of control and influence that's over in the description. Now, stress and anxiety are different emotional responses, and understanding the difference is the first step towards managing them effectively. While stress can often be managed through self-help strategies, anxiety may require more professional intervention. Now, I want you to remember you're not alone in this journey. Like I said, 1 in 4 people struggle with anxiety. So if you're on the journey to better mental health and you're seeking help as a sign of strength, it's not a sign of weakness. So if you do need further support with your mental health, a trained anxiety specialist can prescribe a personalised plan to understand the root cause of worry and anxiety, as well as give you healthy coping strategies that are focused around your own individual needs. Taking care of our mental health is an essential part of our overall well-being, and if left unresolved, mental ill health can spiral out of control and have a significant impact on our relationships, our work, school and family life. So if you want to take the next steps to have a happier life, click the link in the description or the link below and book a free, no obligation consultation call. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe and share this video with someone you think that benefit. And please do hit the notification button to stay updated with all our latest content. Your well-being matters, and together we can conquer anxiety. So until next time, bye for now.